Subscribe to Femina and press the bell icon.
Women essentially have to own their intellect and their femininity. If you're going to play safe, you're going to be like every other generic person out there. Don't be an entrepreneur. You have to have the risk and the guts to be exactly who you want to be.
She began her entrepreneurial journey at the age of just 24. Today, her company has a revenue of over 1,000 crores. She's carved a fabulous niche for herself in a predominantly male world of manufacturing and technology. She's the founder chairperson of Young Bombay Forum BCCI. She has her own op-ed column in the Wall Street Journal, and she is the chairperson and CEO of View Technologies. We have with us today the absolutely fabulous and inspirational Devita Saraf in conversation with Femina. Hi Devita.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being with us here
My
today.
pleasure.
So Devita, you started View when you were just 24 years old.
Correct.
But at that time your father was already running a very successful company, and instead of joining him and becoming the heir of that company, you decided to start something completely of your own.
Correct.
Why did you decide to do it?
I think I've always been incredibly passionate about leadership. The idea of coming up with an idea, mobilizing people, making it progress, watching it build. Even when I was a student back in school and college, I always had this enthusiasm, not as a sports person to compete, but as someone who's always starting my own organization, starting different activities and bringing people together. So while I was working with my father, I realized that I knew what kind of company I wanted, what culture I wanted, what product I wanted, what kind of brand I wanted, and I think that was the first reason that I started to start this company. The second, of course, motivation for me also was to sort of be the CEO of my own life. I think I do come from a very entrepreneurial family, and the ability to kind of build the life that I want was always appealing to me, and of course I could do that if I have my own company.
Being a woman CEO in a company that is predominantly male driven with manufacturing technology, we don't
Correct.
see too many women there. What were your particular challenges in this industry?
I think the biggest challenge that I see is when people see today, there are a lot of women in entrepreneurship. I wouldn't deny that in this generation, there are a lot of women who have started their own companies in different areas, but traditionally they tend to go for more niche businesses.
Right.
So they're not necessarily in capital goods, they're not necessarily, as you said, in a male domain. So usually when people see women's companies, they generally assume they're small and medium businesses, or that is something that they run on the side. And I've been running this company for 14 years now, and it's a big business. But even when I'm dealing with the press, or when I'm dealing with different bankers, or I'm dealing with different people, not within the company, but outside, the mindset is that, it must be a small boutique company that she's sort of tottering away with. The benefit of that, though, is that you're not in the competition's radar. I guess I don't look as threatening, so I don't think my competitors expected us to be this big and powerful, and so it's good because as a woman that part is a benefit if you actually realize that when people are making competitive maps you don't fit in, so you kind of sort of can manage your way into the industry in a very big way. So I guess people go a lot by appearances, which is why very often when I've been in a space which is a traditionally older male white space, seeing a younger Indian woman surprises people. But I think that's important because people always associate power with a very masculine perspective. And I think it's very important to understand the value of feminine power, because women have a very inclusive and creative sense of leadership and power. And I think that's what the world needs today. We don't need more competition. We need more empathy and we need more ideas. And that's why I think being a young woman in business is a bit of a surprise for a lot of people, but it definitely brings a lot of differentiation and value.
What is the one thing that female entrepreneurs have that male entrepreneurs don't?
Women essentially have to own their intellect and their femininity. And I find, unfortunately, for most women, they feel that they're in business, it's all, brain, and you really have to sort of forget that you're a woman. And if they feel that if they have to be very feminine, that means they have to show that they're not as intelligent as men. It's when they own these two areas of themselves and are very secure in it, they're actually able to be leaders who are very imaginative, intuitive, at the same time very inclusive in the way of working with people. And especially today in the day and age of artificial intelligence, what's really going to be a very valued commodity would be creativity. And I think women are much more drawn towards creativity, than just something that can be made efficient or systematized. So I think women leaders, if they really own these aspects of themselves, have great opportunities for entrepreneurship in the future when you have so much of machine learning and so much of AI coming into the workspace.
Okay. And we, as a country, as a society, we don't see too many women even now in tech or manufacturing as a space.
Correct.
What would your, what do you think we can do as a society, as women in business, to help that number grow?
I think first thing would be that more entrepreneurs should be followed as much as people follow entertainers. To be honest, in the US, you ask any kid, who is Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, and they will know. In India, we don't necessarily tend to put entrepreneurs on a pedestal. It's only generally the business sphere that talks about them. And I see that entertainers are seen as sort of intellectuals and role models of the country. Nothing wrong with that, but they don't have the sort of knowledge and backing necessarily in certain subjects that they are asked to speak on. The first thing is that, we have to make celebrities of the entrepreneurs that we have, so that young people aspire to be something like that. So how are you going to tell a younger person that, finish your studies and do your masters or get your PhD or whatever and aspire to be a big shot entrepreneur when all they're seeing on television and on Instagram all across them are just cricketers and actors? To answer your question as to how do we get more women to be entrepreneurs, is the tech business is actually a lot like the fashion business. It's incredibly consumer oriented, it's incredibly innovative, it's incredibly trend oriented, and there's always something new happening all the time, because this business too has so much of consumer cognition. It has so much of not just rational thinking but also emotional buying, has so many trends that are driving the world. So women actually value that in capital goods. When they look at consumers, they look at retail, they look at trends, they'll actually find that it's very fun, and of course the returns are massive. Today an average tech business still is 10x the size, even in this country, of the fashion business. So take your learning from whichever industry interests you as a hobby, but then try and make an industry that's traditional and maybe male dominated and boring, and make that more fun, and then you have a differentiation. And that's what we've done successfully at View. That's why we call it luxury in technology, because I'm always trying to bring this sort of world of fashion and tech together.
And so, given this, what would be your advice to women who are, young female entrepreneurs in India? What would be your 3 pieces of advice for them?
Oh my God, 3 pieces. Well, the first thing is aim big. Please, numbers speak. So, as much as I got when I was running a 100 crore business, it's much more, and the respect is much more when I'm running a 1,000 crore business. And of course, it'll increase when it's a 10,000 crore business. So numbers speak. So the first thing is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, please don't be satisfied in whatever you're doing, and still be financially dependent on yourself and call yourself a girl boss. Really own it. The second thing is, be the CEO of your own life. I think design your life the way you want it to be. I see a lot of women who are business owners, and then they feel the need to be this sort of power woman. And that's a term that I'm not very fond of, because it's a very emasculating term in my opinion. And I find that women may be very successful professionally, but then they're very unhappy when they sort of lose touch with their feminine side. And when you're running a business, you need to take the risk to run it and be who you want to be. Otherwise, don't be an entrepreneur. If you're going to play safe, you're going to be like every other generic person out there, don't be an entrepreneur. You have to have the risk and the guts to be exactly who you want to be. And then the third most important aspect for women, if they want to be entrepreneurs and business leaders, is to understand their motivation. Especially in a country like India, there's so much work to do. So the good part of being an entrepreneur is, that you're actually changing society and moving the country more towards a modern global thinking. And I think that's the most satisfying thing for me, apart from the fact of just financial independence or having control of your company, is actually just the purpose it gives your life of taking this country to a more modern level where women are respected for their intelligence and intellect, who are seen very naturally as leaders, and giving this sort of direction to a younger generation. I think don't be an entrepreneur just for yourself. Like, as much as you can, do it for yourself, your family, your friends, your circle, but first do it for your country.
Thank you so much for being
Thank
on
you
the
for
show
having
with us
me.
today. Thank you.